Well, it looks like one of the top free agent cornerbacks wants to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Kind of showed that already. But being connected into free agency with the tampering period in a few weeks, players that are free agents are going to kind of show interest and play with the fans a little bit and show where they might want to go. And some other news regarding Vic Fangio with specific players from Miami that really didn't like the way they were used in this defense and how could it affect the Philadelphia Eagles and who they get rid of and Vic Fangio hiring his own system type players to this defense. But it's gonna be wild, it's gonna be crazy. So let's get into it all.
You better drink. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. We're gonna go with some news for the Philadelphia Eagles. Nothing crazy today because it is a little quiet. The Eagles are kind of we haven't touched our own roster yet. We haven't really made any moves. Other teams have released and, maybe, extended some players or whatever, but the Eagles have stayed quiet till this point. And, it's going to happen sooner or later. It's not like this roster will not be touched. It's not like no one's going to get moved at all or no one's going to get cut because, Vic Fangio has to get this defense in order. But what comes to mind is like, what is Vic Fangio? Who is he going to bring to this team? What players is he interested in? And are the Eagles allowing Vic Fangio to pay, a top free agent this year? And I think there's going to be a couple of them, and I'm not going to say a top free agent, but I think there will be one at a specific position because I feel like the Eagles are going to be connected to every free agent linebacker, every trade rumor regarding any type of secondary help is going to be connected to the Philadelphia Eagles. But Lajarius Sneed himself, one of the top free agent cornerbacks from Kansas City, that's becoming a free agent, well, I was on his Instagram and put a picture of himself kind of waving his hands out, like he's an eagle, and he had an eagle emoji. It was liked by Devontae Smith, which was very interesting. Now, I know I heard some people say like this is what Snead does. He does the eagle emoji a lot in a lot of his posts. I don't have Instagram. I don't follow this crap at all. I don't even use that type of social networking at this point. So this is just something that has evolved into big news, and this is what players do. They like to tease the fans, and maybe that's what people think. Devontae Smith liked it, so it makes it more interesting to say, you know, do the Eagles want to go into the first round of the draft and draft a cornerback? Which it's really hard for me to think that they're going to do that. They haven't done it in years, okay, and it's hard for me to think that they'll pay with all the holes they have on defense. It's hard for me to think that they will pay a top free agent cornerback. Whether I don't know, if Jalen Johnson will be the cheaper option if he doesn't get tagged. And obviously, Lajarius Sneed is obviously, is going to get a payday because, he's been to a couple of Super Bowls already and, his reputation for itself. I think he's a perfect fit in Philadelphia. He's that, the pushback attitude, plays physical, plays tough, and tackles pretty well, and I think he fits here. And a guy that's not afraid to hit anybody, and that's what I kind of want. Tired of what we've been dealing with the last year, and I know this defense is going to change when it comes to accountability, when it comes to practice, and how we practice. It's going to be a big thing. I've always thought that the designation of where HaasonReddick goes is really going to see where the Eagles go at cornerback, where they want to get an already produced guy that, maybe they trade for somebody that's not a high rise of a price, maybe not a top tier price, but maybe a mid tier price where they can afford maybe another number two this year, opposite of Darius Slay. But do they really want to do that? Or is their Super Bowl window open enough to where, they're going to say, you know what? By all the money that we have this year, we could bring in a guy that's going to produce immediately and fit here really well. And it's really hard for me to feel like they're going to go after a corner in the first round. And it's hard for me to think they're going to pay a guy a lot of money. If there wasn't many holes on defense, I could see them going after a Lajarius Sneed or something like that. But it's tough on me that this is going to be something easy that the Eagles are just going to be like, yep, Lajarius Sneed, and he's going to sign like the first day of free agency. I feel like this is going to take like a few days to a week. Lajarius Sneed is going to weigh his options, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's going to be a lot of teams out there that are going to be wanting his services, and that cap number is just going to go up. His price is just going to go up at that point. And when are the Eagles going to look, at this and then, make phone calls and then kind of back out of the whole thing if the price is getting too steep? That's what normally happens. But if you're looking at what they're going to put all their money into, will it be the cornerback position? I mean, I don't mind it. And look, the Eagles can have $60 million in cap space. Their cap went up from 28 to 32 because of the cap rise for the league, and every team. And then the moves that we haven't made yet, a lot of moves can be made to free up a lot of cap space to get to $60 million, even over $50 million, and the Eagles normally don't have that. But offensively, it's barely a couple holes. But when it comes to the defense, it's all over the place. I don't think Vic Fangio is looking at this roster and saying, "Oh, you know what? I like this roster. I'm going to keep it the way it is." There's going to be a lot of changes. It's going to be a totally different. There's going to be some guys that obviously are on this team that we know of, but there's going to be a lot of different players at different positions, at safety, at linebacker, and one half of your cornerback spot, because Bradbury is most likely going to get cut. Probably, that's probably going to happen. I mean, if Bradbury doesn't get cut, and it probably, they'd have to extend him and then, extend him for a couple years and then cut him and kind of relieve, that dead cap will get relief. It's a single digit dead cap number for a few years to spread it out a little bit and eat that up, which is really no big deal. But to actually go into an off season like this, I don't know what the market is going to be for cornerbacks, and I'm a little afraid because we haven't went down this rabbit hole in a good amount of years, and every time we did, it's been, I don't know, for us as of recent years, it hasn't really been effective going to that free agent market. But I know with Lajarius Sneed, it doesn't worry me that if he comes to Philadelphia, he won't pan out, because I think you have a good defensive coordinator that knows how to use his players to success. And I think Sneed fits the mold of Philly in general, and just how he plays. And you know what? I liked him in Kansas City a lot. And, we'll get paid a lot of money. I don't think KC's going to pay him. There was rumors that he might get, that they might resign him, but they got too many contracts. Especially Chris Jones is going to have a big contract soon, so I don't think they're going to be able to afford everybody coming back. But I think this is a good sign. I think other players are going to do this. He might do this with other franchises as well. He might put up stupid things to kind of just get everybody excited, to get everybody, kind of get more attention on him. So this is from his Instagram. This isn't, take this with a grain of salt. Don't go crazy about it. But, theoretically, this would be awesome. But would they actually be willing to spend? Because I feel like you could get another edge rusher if Reddick does stay at a mid-tier, probably between low to mid-tier price, as like a rotational guy like a Chase Young, which I think would actually be very cost-effective. Get Andrew Van Ginkel in the building, which I think he's going to get paid, but not as much as Patrick Queen and some of the other guys, but is more of a system fit for Vic Fangio's defense. And getting Sneed would be great. I think they could fit all three of those contracts perfectly. And then go into the draft with a first rounder, 2 seconds, a third, 4 fifths. I mean, you're looking pretty good at this point if you can get all those moves done. I think there's some cost effective, low risk, high reward moves, and then the combination of getting some playmakers in here that fit the scheme and that you can work with the next few years. So I think those moves would fit perfectly with the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll see what happens. So I thought this was kind of exciting, and I think more is going to happen within the next, the coming days are going to be insane. So definitely watch out for that. Now, there was a quote, or at least a tweet, from Jalen Ramsey regarding Xavier Howard. Now, Xavier Howard did leave. They released him because he was a cap casualty, and obviously he's getting older. Jalen Ramsey is the future over there, and obviously, Xavier Howard's just getting up there in age, and they're going to get rid of him. So Ramsey, and obviously, like I said, what's his face is going to be, leaving soon. So you have to put everything into perspective. Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator with Miami Dolphins. Ramsey puts out this tweet saying, "Should be crazy how stuff plays out sometimes. But one thing I know is for sure that within an honor. It was an honor teaming up with the greatest corner in Miami Dolphins history, in my opinion. And it says right at the bottom, it says, "I won't ever forgive dude for not utilizing our full skill set." There's a lot of players around the league. There's a lot of the newer type players. I don't know. At least now with how these players act, how just players act in general. It's just some guys are just full of it. But there's players out there that don't like how Vic Fangio uses his players. And Vic Fangio had a good defense for Miami last year. Let's not forget, it was a good defense. Offense couldn't pan out, but later on in the season had some injuries and just kind of fell apart a little bit. But defense played really well. And I guess Jalen Ramsey was not a fan, or maybe Xavier Howard was a guy that just wasn't a fan of how Vic Fangio ran his defense. This just happens. A lot of players think this. There's players now that don't think Vic Fangio. You don't get the best out of your players when you drop your corners back. You don't get the best out of your players sometimes because they're not really doing the one thing that they're paid to do is cover. They're paid to cover an area until they have to get into coverage. You know what I mean? So the full extent of from the line to when you're defending a wide receiver or a tight end or something like that. So I get the whole they're not being utilized to their full extent with specific players, but like I said, you're gonna have this isn't new or different. There's probably other defensive coordinators around the league where players don't like how they're used in certain schemes in secret. They don't come out and say it on the internet, stuff like that on social media. But Jalen Ramsey has always been vocal. But I wouldn't worry about this too much. I know fans will probably be like, "Oh my god," but I wouldn't go crazy about it just because Vic Fangio was brought over to Miami. The control that he had and what players he was bringing in Miami. I don't know how much control he had, but for the Philadelphia Eagles, I know he's going to have 100% complete control over who he wants. Okay, because he's well respected here, and I don't know how much control Vic actually had when it came to his defensive roster and what players he wanted to bring in, or was it more last, final say from the front office or something like that? Since obviously they didn't see eye to eye and him parting ways with Miami, it was good on both sides. They thought they needed a change. You know what I mean? So, just something really small to talk about, nothing crazy, but thought it was pretty important because there's going to be players that think that. And I think Vic might have not had as much control in Miami than we all thought maybe he did, but controlled that defense really well and did a good job. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So we talked about Lajarius Sneed. We talked about Ramsey's quote and tweet on, Vic Fangio and how he ran the defense. But free agency is going to be exciting. I can't wait for it. It's going to be so many rumors, so much stuff going on, and I'm going to report all of it. You know it. You know what's going to happen. Keep our eyes open on certain things. So, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about this Instagram post in general, or do you think it's realistic to get Lajarius Sneed? Do you think they go into the draft? Do you think they do something totally different? You guys let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, Chicks go up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.